Admiral Linda Fagan made history when she became the 27th Commandant of the Coast Guard in June. She's the first woman to ever lead a military branch and the Coast Guard's first female four-star admiral. Admiral, welcome to the program.
Thank you, Mimi. It's a pleasure to be here.
So I want to start with your priorities, and I know in a document called the Commandant's Intent, you named transforming the workforce as one of your biggest priorities. Why is that?
Yeah, without workforce, we are not able to operate the organization. And we operate a talent management system very similar to the other armed services. You basically, whether you're officer enlisted, you start at the beginning, at the bottom, and then work your way up and forward in an up-or-out system. And that creates barriers and impediments for people who are looking to serve and stay. And so I've challenged the team to openly question some of those assumptions that we have in the system, and are looking to make it easier for people to enter the service and serve and contribute to the nation.
But how? What are some of the ideas that you're thinking about?
Some of what we're doing is providing opportunities for people to lateral. Let's say you're a nurse practitioner, helicopter mechanic. We make you start at the bottom and come up. We're looking for opportunities to bring you in at an E4, E5 level, and bring those credentials and have us acknowledge and accept them so that it's not starting from the very beginning. Looking for opportunities so that people can perhaps have increased geographic stability and stay in one place a little longer than the, kind of right now we move people every 2 to 4 years. It's not a rigid movement, but that creates challenges for families. We recruit an individual, but then we retain families, and creating a policy that is responsive to the workforce that we're actually recruiting is a big part of the focus.
So really it's about flexibility, and it's about, maybe somebody wants to serve for a while in the Coast Guard, get some experience in a different part of the government or in the private sector, and then would they be able to come back to the Coast Guard?
So that we are looking at any and all policies that allow that increased flexibility. And so if somebody, the example you just gave, we need to make it easy for people to do that. Or if they're serving in one of the other services and they'd like to come to us, we need to make it easy for that to happen as well. And so the great thing is this is mostly policy. We've got the authority to do much of this work now. We just need to get after some of those very rigid approaches that we've taken traditionally.
And recruitment is a big issue, not just for the services, for the government as a whole. Is there something that you're doing that can convince people in the first place that the Coast Guard is where they want to be?
Yeah, so recruiting is a challenge, and this is not unique to the Coast Guard. All of the military services face this challenge. There's a shrinking group of people who are qualified to serve, interested in serving, and so we need to be really deliberate as we seek those people with a propensity to serve. And then we need to make it easy for them to stay. And so this is why this talent management and workforce work is so critical. I think bonuses are being used in some cases, but if you don't fundamentally have a system that people see themselves serving in, see themselves staying in, a bonus is just a short-term solution to a longer-term challenge. We need talent. I'm hiring talent. It's a great organization, and we're looking to bring any and all that have that propensity to serve into the service, and then we provide great opportunity once they come.
Admiral, another challenge for every branch is mental health, and unfortunately suicide rates are ticking up. What are you doing to bring that number down?
Yeah, so we unfortunately have experienced a number of suicides this year, and unfortunately every year have suicides. One suicide is one too many. It's just a tragedy on so many levels. And so we are working to increase access to mental health care. We've hired some mental health care professionals so that people who are seeking help have increased access to that help. We're working through our chaplain corps to increase access to assist and safe talk training so that people in the workforce can get training so that they are comfortable and understand how to intervene when somebody may reach out or cry for help from a suicide prevention standpoint. It's really an all hands on deck approach. We are really committed to supporting the workforce and breaking the chain that too often results in the tragedy of suicide is important work.
Earlier this year, we spoke to the former commandant, Admiral Schultz, and he told us that the Coast Guard was slightly behind on its modernization plans, but it was on a good trajectory. Where are you now?
So I think you're talking about our acquisition. We are in the largest acquisition that we've had ongoing since World War II. Polar security cutters, offshore patrol cutters, waterway commerce cutters. I'm really excited about the new state-of-the-art assets that we're building and will field for the nation. The nation has not built a icebreaker or polar security cutter since the mid-'70s, and when that asset comes online, it'll create just great presence and opportunity for us as a nation to ensure our sovereignty. I'm committed to continuing that work, that acquisition work that my predecessors have started.
And as you said, this is the largest recapitalization in the Coast Guard's history. Why? Why now?
Well, the ships that they're replacing, some of them are 50 to 60 years old, and it's time. It's been time. We've had great bipartisan support from our overseers and authorizers and appropriators. The nation knows that they need the Coast Guard, and we need to make that investment now.
Part of that modernization plan includes expanding the Arctic fleet. Tell us what the Coast Guard's role is in that region and how it's changing.
Yeah, so we were just talking about the polar security cutters that we are on budget for those polar security cutters. It's important to remind people that we are an Arctic nation. The state of Alaska has a big and large Arctic coastline, and so the polar security cutters are critical to our national security and national sovereignty as it pertains to the Arctic. The Coast Guard has operated in the Arctic for a long, long time and have a great tradition of operating there. I'm excited about the opportunity these polar security cutters are going to bring. They'll allow increased access and year-round presence into the high latitudes, into the Arctic. It's critical work for us as a nation.
But have things become more tense in the Arctic, given the war in Ukraine, things with Russia? I mean, they're also an Arctic nation.
Yes, Russia is also an Arctic nation, and China several years ago declared themselves as a near Arctic nation. A lot of interest in the Arctic from a just geopolitical standpoint, and so again, ensuring that we've got the presence to protect our own sovereignty is important, and that's why these polar security cutters are so critical. We experience almost daily interaction with the Russians as it pertains to the maritime boundary line. In fact, have very cordial and professional engagements, and that has not changed with regard to the current situation. But again, ensuring that we're in a posture to protect our own sovereignties and interests, and particularly as the Arctic warms and sea ice recedes, there's just increased human activity up there. Cruise ships, fish migration patterns are changing. The many native communities that need access to the water, and we need to ensure that they've got a safe environment to operate in, and it's all part of the role that the Coast Guard will play.
The Coast Guard is also taking a more active role in the Pacific. What can you tell me about what's happening there?
Yeah, so I often get asked, they're like, well, you guys are the Coast Guard. Like, why are you
What are you doing all the way over there?
All the way over there? We are a globally deployed Coast Guard, and the risk that the country faces is not just on our home shores, and so the Coast Guard is operating in the Western Pacific. We've got cutters based in Hawaii and Guam that work and engage with our many partner nations throughout the region. We're committed to a free and open Indo-PACOM. This is about rule of law, good governance. And as a Coast Guard, we demonstrate that maritime professionalism in all that we do, and are a partner of choice for many of these small nation communities.
And you're also replacing some aging cutters, as you mentioned before. There's the Waterways Commerce Cutter Program.
Yep.
Talk about the importance of those inland waterways.
Yeah, so we are a great maritime nation, but we've got a significant inland waterway system that directly contributes to our economic security and stability. $5.4 trillion of economic benefit across the maritime realm here in the United States. And so the inland waterway commerce cutters are just critical to ensuring that the waterways are safe and resilient and reliable so that commerce can access them. The cutters that these new waterway commerce cutters will replace are 50 plus years old in many cases, don't accommodate mixed gender crews, and it's time. We're excited, and we very soon will be making an announcement with regard to the waterway commerce cutter.
Let's talk about climate change. Obviously, the majority of your installations are on the coast.
Yes.
So how have your operations been affected by that?
Yeah, so, we are a maritime service, military service, and every Coast Guard operation starts and then ends at a shore-based facility, and much of that infrastructure is right on the coast, where we do face challenge of, climate change, sea level rise. And so as we invest in that infrastructure, are looking to do it in a way that increases resiliency. We've had stations, small boat stations, damaged by hurricanes, and when we've rebuilt them, we've done things like moving the critical systems to an upper floor as opposed to a ground floor to keep them so that if the building floods, it's much easier to reconstitute. And as we look forward to all that infrastructure investment, we're doing it in a way that's mindful of just the increased pace of change and ensuring that we've got resiliency around our infrastructure.
At the same time, as climate disasters increase, hurricanes, flooding, all kinds of stuff like that, the Coast Guard's going to be called upon more and more. So what are you doing to ramp up your capability?
Yeah, so we are a surge force. We're a maritime first response force. Many people are familiar with the work that we do post-hurricane, whether Harvey or any kind of disaster that results in people whose lives may be imperiled. We remain committed to that work. Hurricane season started on the 1st of June. We're in it now. If you've looked, there's some activity in the Atlantic. And part of my role and our operational commander's role is to ensure that we've got adequate surge capacity and force to respond to the American public and meet their expectations if they find themselves endangered in a hurricane.
And then on the other side of that, I wonder what you're doing to reduce the negative impact that the Coast Guard might have on the environment and on marine life.
Yeah, so we're in the process of putting together, you talked about my Commandant's intent and Commandant's strategy. We're looking at a kind of climate strategy, and part of that, in addition to improving resiliency around our infrastructure, is also looking at, our impact on the environment and, minimizing that so that, again, we are good stewards of the environment, as well as being good stewards of the financial resources that the public entrust us with.
And as some waters warm up, the fish move.
Yes.
And you're heavily involved in patrolling for illegal fishing. What's the connection there?
Yes. So we have a very active role in fisheries enforcement. We work with the National Marine Fisheries Service here in the U.S., protecting our own, fish stocks and natural resources. And then further afield, and we talked about the Western Pacific, we have bilateral agreements with a number of different nations where we bring one of their sort of fisheries enforcers onto our Coast Guard cutter and help them enforce their own fisheries laws. We've published an IUUF, illegal, unregulated, unreported fishing strategy to help bring focus to this global challenge and continue to work and partner to improve that situation.
Admiral, I know that the Coast Guard's 4-year strategy is coming out soon. It's not ready to be announced or public, but what are the major highlights from that? Yeah,
so my Commandant's intent was out on day one, and now this strategy will put much more detail on that Commandant's intent. We've already talked about the workforce work that we're doing. Some of the highlights in the strategy that we're going to publish, we're getting after our data from a governance standpoint so that we can begin to use AI and machine learning and predictive analytics around data as it pertains to the increasing challenge around our operating mission set, and whether it's counter-narcotics or maritime migration, ensuring that we're postured for success organizationally. I've also challenged the team to look at how we are operating the force both from a force management standpoint and then how we decide to employ cutters in aircraft and small boats so that we're responsive to the American public and that we are responsive to the changing risk situation that we see around the maritime commons.
And I want to talk about you specifically because you got your start after graduating from the Coast Guard Academy. Women were just starting to come into the Coast Guard. Talk about how the Coast Guard has changed and how you've seen that diversity play out.
Yeah, so I arrived at the Coast Guard Academy in 1981. We had only graduated the first class of women the year before. I did not realize how recent that change had been. I went to the Coast Guard Academy because I wanted to serve as an officer in the Coast Guard, and that was my goal. I didn't have a plan. I didn't have much of a plan beyond that, just to graduate and be commissioned. What I've seen in the time since I've graduated is the service continue to move forward, an increasing number of women coming into the service. We onboarded the class of 2026 at the Coast Guard Academy not that long ago, 43% women. My class was 5% women when I graduated, and I think that just speaks volumes to the organization, the commitment to providing work that's valued and in embracing all that people bring in all of their diversity, and I'm really excited about it. It's a family affair for me. My daughter graduated in 2016.
I was just going to ask you about that. She's a lieutenant in the Coast Guard.
She is a lieutenant in the Coast Guard. She entered the Coast Guard that looked very different than the one that I entered, and I'm excited for her, for the future of the organization and where we're going. I see nothing but opportunity in front of us and opportunity for anyone that would be interested in serving the nation and joining just an incredible organization.
One of your many accomplishments is that you're the first ever gold ancient Trident. You're going to have to explain that.
So my operational specialty is, there is a Trident in my my operational specialty as a marine inspector, and so we have this ancient tradition. We have an ancient cutterman and station keeper and aviator. So I'm the longest serving individual in the marine safety prevention field. I started doing barge inspections and cruise ship inspections. And somehow I find myself now with the term ancient. I don't feel ancient. I prefer seasoned, but here we are.
And you actually get a Trident.
I do, and it's kind
of like Neptune.
Yeah, it looks like Neptune. It's solid brass. It's very heavy, but it's in my office.
So what advice do you give to other female leaders out there in the government? What do you tell them, especially about working in a male-dominated field? I
would say, be yourself, be bold, and you can do it, right? Women, I think, bring just a great perspective into leadership. Your humanity and empathy always carries the day, and just you're in the room for the reason, and have an opinion, have a voice, and just be yourself.
All right. Admiral Fagan, thank you so much for coming in. So nice to talk to you.
All right. Thank you, Mimi. Thanks.
Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, give it a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel so you don't miss out on any future Government Matters interviews.